Welcome back to Sports Talk ATL. I am Chase Earl, joined by Jake Gordon and Alex Lord. Aside from giving the owner's son a promotion, the Hawks have been very quiet since free agency. They have not made any free agent moves, which isn't all that surprising. I still think they're going to be much more active in the trade market. We've heard Pascal Siakam, we've heard DeJounte Murray's name get floated. We'll talk about them in a later segment, but they did make one kind of under the radar move, acquiring Ty Washington and Usman Garuba from the Rockets, who are two former first-round picks that are both 21 years or younger. So there's some potential there. And all they sent back is Alpha Kaba, who was I think 2017 60th overall pick, a EuroLeague Satch that basically was never going to play for the Hawks. So they basically sent nothing, and they get 1.1 million in cash, a couple second rounders, and these two former first rounders. So from the Hawks perspective, I don't see how this is a bad move. I mean, you get a couple guys with potential, you pick up some more second round picks, and you even get some. I think they ended up taking like $5 million salary. That's kind of why Houston was opening roster spots and shedding salary. But it seems like a very high upside with literally no risk move.
Yeah, I absolutely. I've given the the Hawks a lot of grief lately for good reason, but I do love this trade. Ty Washington, Usman Garuba, both 21 years old. Ty Washington has been really inefficient in the NBA, but he has been like a G League Hall of Famer. He averages like 27 points and 6 assists in the G League. Usman Garuba, he can get some boards. He's solid. I
Plays
don't
good
think he's
defense.
anything. Yeah, he shot 40% from three as well. I don't think he took a ton of threes, but yeah, I mean, the Rockets, they just picked up Fred VanVleet. They just picked up Dylan Brooks. Like, they're clearing roster spots, but they sent the Hawks 2 second-round picks, $1.1 million, and Atlanta gets some backup players. And, the contracts that are being handed out this free agency cycle, I think this trade is a great move. I don't know if these guys will be good, but like you said, they'll have team options, I think, after Garuba will after this year, and I think Ty will after this year. And then you can let them go if they're not performing, but you got warm bodies, players with some upsides. Ty Washington was actually a big sleeper in last year's draft. So, yeah, I like the move.
I'm just so pessimistic about the Hawks. They could land LeBron James, and I would just be pessimistic. I just don't. Obviously, this trade has nothing to do with what I'm about to say. And the trade, for all the reasons that Jake just outlined, it's a good move. It's a low risk move. There's virtually no overhead. You got money, you got picks, and you got some young talent that could pan out to become role players. Maybe not. If they don't, no skin off the Hawks' back. But I just feel, I mean, the locker room's getting crowded. The roster's getting crowded. The Hawks are going to have to make moves. Like I've said, this Hawks team's a playoff roster. There's no doubt about that, but it's a team that's going to get bounced in the first or second round. Chase said it, we're all still waiting, hoping that, another big move comes. And the fact is they're going to have to shed some salaries somewhere, whether it's Clint Capella, DeAndre Hunter, DeJounte Murray. We've got to extend Onyeka Okongwu. That has to happen. Saddiq Bey, I mean, we didn't just give up 5 second-round picks for nothing. You'd like to extend him. And like you said, Jake, these contracts that are being handed out are insane. DeJounte Murray's going to garner close to a max contract. I mean, Fred VanVleet's AAV is more than Trae Young's. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, the Rockets handed VanVleet 130, and what they hand Dylan Brooks like 80. Like,
yeah, 480, I think.
I mean, this is just the nature of the NBA. I think this is also just the nature of the NBA now. You got to stop looking at the numbers and start looking at its percentage of cap space. Obviously they're allowing, a lot of these players are getting paid. I mean, you saw Brook Lopez, who we were all very fond of, got 2 years, $48 million. I mean, he's going to make $25 million a year now. Like, now when you look at DeAndre Hunter, but this is another thing. When you look at a guy like DeAndre Hunter, who we were all kind of like, ooh, 4 for 90, like that's kind of a lot of money. But even for DeAndre Hunter, what he provides, like, is 4 for 90 really that bad? Like, it almost seems like that's probably on par for the course, maybe even a little underpaid if he can just get marginally better. I'm not saying turn into an all-star, because that's not going to happen. I think people are delusional who think that's going to happen. But if he can be a solid, keep getting better on defense, get a little bit better as a scorer, maybe get a little bit better as a facilitator, just get marginally better. Like, 4 for 90 doesn't seem all that bad.
Yeah, and I think it's funny, the Hawks and the Rockets they just keep dealing with each other. We got Bruno Fernando back and Garrison Matthews. And a lot of people thought this was going to be a Clint Capella trade at first, and the Rockets were going to get him back. And I wouldn't have been too shocked at that either. But they do have Şengün, who I think is really talented. But yeah, it's an interesting trade. But I think I can chalk it up as a win for the Hawks, I think.
Yeah, talking about contracts, Bogey's contract's looking really nice right now. I mean, that's a great extension. Everybody in the NBA, everybody would love to have a player like Bogey. I mean, everybody.
Yeah, he's 4 for 60.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
unreal. That's an unreal price.
I mean, even Capella. That's why I think those guys are all tradable assets now. When you their contracts look a lot better than they did, 2 weeks ago, because you look at what everyone else. I mean, Jeremy Grant got 5 for 160. I mean, what are we doing here?
That's crazy. I mean, DeAndre Hunter is not Jeremy Grant by any means. I'm not trying to compare the two players, but they are not that far apart. Their salaries, they're not that far apart.
You guys know I wanted Bruce Brown very badly, and 2 for 45, what he got from the Pacers, that's a lot for a role player.
That's unreal.
Bruce Brown is probably one of the 5 best, role players in the NBA in terms of a guy you're going to bring off the bench, because he can legitimately play 5 positions. But yeah, that's a steep price.
Yeah, and so it's going to be interesting, but we'll talk about it more after the break. We're going to talk about Hawks rumors, DeJounte Murray, Pascal Siakam. Are we going to make any big moves over the next week or so?